And after a year of being a raw vegan, it's like my body completely transformed. I thought, is it possible to make an Olympic team at 40? The 2008 Olympics were coming at that point in Beijing. And it wasn't something that I thought I'm going to do. But what would happen if I started training like one of those athletes? Then I started dating someone who was not raw, they were vegan. And we kind of made a hybrid of each other's diets so that we could be in a relationship without much conflict. When you're eating 100% raw food around people that are eating zero, they tend to want to defend themselves against you, or they tend to want to gang up on you. So I'm 5'9", and prior to being a runner, as a raw foodist, I weighed about 130 pounds. As a runner, my racing weight was 142 at 5'9". I weigh myself every morning, not because I care, but just because I'm documenting a process of how I now engage with upper body strength exercises. This morning I was 171.
So now we're talking from 140, around 141 to 171. That's 30 pounds.
Yeah.
So when we're getting into the why and what, but
discovered that I am an absolute weakling in my upper body, even though my legs are super strong, even though I've got huge heart and lungs from all the running I've done. Upper body strength was zero. Within a year of that type of strength training, I got up to about 150 pounds. So I put on 8 pounds of muscle that first year from 2021.
Has your diet changed at all?
No, not really. No. I think I've started eating more, definitely. And I know my protein consumption has gone up.
Now, you said you're eating the same way. So what did you change in your diet that your protein went up and you're eating more? Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. I'm so excited to have a return guest with new information. This is Tim Van Orden. He's been on a vegan diet for 27 years. Tim, welcome back to the show.
Paul, thanks for having me. It's good to see you. It's been a long time.
It's been a long time, and you're one of my favorite guests, and you're looking pretty bulked up there. So I'm excited to talk with you today about some changes that I've seen online that you've been making. But before we do that, can you briefly introduce yourself to the audience for those that don't know you, and then we'll get into your story?
Sure. I guess the best introduction is to say that in 1998, I went vegan and changed. Probably the most important thing that changed for me was that I started sleeping. I was an insomniac for most of my adult life. And very, very quickly, I started sleeping. Veganism was not something that was a philosophy for me. It was something that was suggested by my girlfriend. I went in reluctantly, but then I started sleeping, and I'm like, okay, this has, some benefits, obviously. So I'll see if I can do it for a month or so. And basically, 27 years later, I am still vegan. And now it is much more than just, what do I get out of it? Now it's a philosophy. I'm reluctant to call it a moral philosophy, because people have different systems of morals that they live within. But for me personally, it feels like the right choice. My whole mission in life now is compassion, not just to other humans, but to other beings and also to myself. So that has informed this journey for me. And then in 2004, I fell into a pretty deep depression, developed chronic fatigue syndrome, was let go of my job. I was living in Los Angeles at the time, wasn't sure what I was going to do. I was desperate. And I had worked at a vegan restaurant that served quite a bit of raw food. And being Los Angeles, you had lots of celebrities coming in who were on vegan diets or cleanses or raw diets. And when they heard that I lost my job, because I would come in and eat after they let me go, and people were talking, "Hey, what's going on? What are you going to do? What are you trying?" And I had a couple who was very, very wealthy said, "We're going to take you to every raw restaurant in Los Angeles County and Orange County," and there were quite a few. "And we're going to show you that raw food is something that you will enjoy. Not only will it help you, but you're actually going to enjoy it." And they literally took me to 10 or more restaurants, and the food was phenomenal. And I thought, okay, I can't afford to eat out at raw restaurants every day. So this is something that they're telling me is going to work. So what's the lowest cost, easiest way to get into this thing just to give it a try because I'm desperate. And I settled on smoothies and salads and read your book, read many other books at that time to help me understand what this was, what I was getting into, et cetera, what the diet looks like, what are the different possibilities, should I be concerned about nutrient deficiencies. So I'm grateful to you and other people that put that information out there at that time. And within a week, I felt better. Depression was gone, fatigue was gone. And I said, okay, maybe 2 weeks. We'll see what happens. And I felt better. Maybe a month. I felt better. And then it's like, huh, there's something to this. So let's see how long I can go. And after a year of being a raw vegan, it's like my body completely transformed. I mean, I had been a vegan for 6 or 7 years at that point, but I wasn't in shape. I was kind of pudgy. I lifted weights every now and again because I was an actor working at a restaurant. So, I had some muscle on me, but you couldn't see it because of the pudge. And suddenly I was lean and ripped and feeling like a kid again. And I'd kind of given up on anything athletic when I was a teenager. I was competitive in high school and college in cross country running, cross country skiing, track and field, but I retired at 19 or 20. And so now at the age of 38, I was feeling like, hey, I feel like moving again. It's been a long time. So I started running just to see what was possible given the level of energy I had, and very quickly discovered that I have enough energy to run and I enjoy it. It's fun. It's not this awful experience that I remember in my teenage years. And so I started the Running Raw project, which was just to see what was possible as a raw vegan approaching the age of 40, running every day. What kind of fitness can I build? What can I do? I'm curious. I don't know. This is not an ideology for me. It's a curiosity. And I thought, is it possible to make an Olympic team at 40? The 2008 Olympics were coming at that point in Beijing. And it wasn't something that I thought I'm going to do. But what would happen if I started training like one of those athletes? How far could I get? What level of fitness could I achieve? So the Running Raw project began first as a documentary. I had some people in LA very interested in what I was doing, and they were filming it as a documentary. But I was naive, and it takes a long time to build that kind of fitness. You can't just do it overnight, even as a raw vegan, which is what I believed. So the documentary team eventually disbanded in 2008 because it was clear that I was not going to make an Olympic team. But I was still growing in fitness and I was getting more and more excited about being an athlete. So I thought I had been filming some videos myself. So I thought, well, maybe I'll just go full time on YouTube and just blow it up there and see what I can do individually as a filmmaker. And so I did the Running Raw project until 2013. And to this day, I've amassed 20 US titles. So I've won 20 national championships in running, various kinds of running on the track, on the road, mountain running, trail running, snowshoe running. I won a US stair climbing championship. And it was incredibly successful. Um, but it didn't really make the difference that I thought it would. The original goal was if this diet can transform me that quickly from somebody that's pretty much given up, if I can have that kind of transformative experience, what would happen if we got more people excited about engaging with this? So it wasn't that um, I wanted people to embrace a hippie lifestyle, which is how a lot of people view this, hippie, crunchy, bunch of crazy people running around that don't have any attachment to reality. My goal was to encase it in something that people understand. the general populace understands. A metric, you can measure it.
Sure.
Athletics,
Sure.
specifically running, you can measure running and you can compare it. So this is not something you can, oh, he just feels better.
Yeah.
Oh, that's all in your head. You imagine you're healthier. Well, I'm actually demonstrating it.
Sure.
So I had hoped to get kids excited about this. If we can get top
So,
athletes excited about it,
what
they'll
year
get
are
kids.
we talking about here?
So
Like,
that was the project started in 2006 and ran until 2013.
okay. Well, I
Uh,
want to thank you for that brief introduction.
brief, yeah.
Yes, yes. Okay, so now here you are, it's 2016 or so, and you've accomplished all this amazing stuff. You wanted to get kids involved,
Yeah.
and we're going to hear more about that. But tell me about your not only your physical fitness, your health has completely changed up to that point where we were at, and up to that point in 2016 now, so were you 100% raw vegan during that time or mostly raw vegan at that time?
It was up to 2013 and I was 100% raw.
Okay, okay, up to 2013 you were 100% raw, running and doing everything. And then when did you start to reintroduce cooked food?
So that was later in 2013, early 2014.
And what
And
made you decide to do that?
so a big part of this journey is that I'm very insecure, especially when it comes to education. I have a college education from a very good school, one of the best in the country. I won't name names, but I always felt inferior to the other people at this institution and institutions like it. I'm a Vermont farm kid and never really had that Ivy League upbringing that many of the kids that attend these universities do. So, in addition to my own personal insecurity, it kind of became an educational insecurity, which has caused me to relentlessly research because I'm afraid I've got something wrong, or I'm afraid that there's another study that I need to read, and there's this sense that what I'm teaching or what I'm promoting might only be partially true. So I want to keep learning. And the real chrysalis for that was I gave a talk in Cambridge, Massachusetts in 2008. And there were a lot of people from Harvard and MIT in the audience. And I'm up on stage discussing enzymes and different um, biochemical interactions. And a guy stands up, raises his hand, and says, "You have no idea what you're talking about." And excuse me? And he said, "You have no idea how an enzyme works, and the biochemical reactions you're describing are not accurate." And several other people in the audience, like, "Yeah, I didn't want to say anything, but that he's correct. You're wrong about this." But so and so said in their book on raw food that this is the truth. And these guys educated me in front of the entire crowd, and it was absolutely humiliating. And I said, okay, never again. I will learn this stuff. I will learn what they know, and I will not stop until I have an accurate body of knowledge. And that research has not stopped. So that led to me consuming more and more information in different fields that kind of all point towards human well being. That's always been the goal. How does a human function on every different level? Do we know with an absolute certainty? No, it's an ongoing project. But there is a lot of information, and it's way too much for any single individual to fully comprehend. So we can create some really good guesses as individuals. So it has humbled me a lot. And the more you learn, the less you're certain of. But you also have some really good ideas and some hunches and some directions that seem to be really functional. So that kind of softened me up to what at that time would have been described as raw dogma or raw ideology, raw as law. And I realized how that turns a lot of people off. That there may be more information to begin with, but more importantly, if this is going to be a social project, if I want to reach the average person and not simply speak to the choir, I've got to communicate in a way that doesn't immediately tell them that everything that they believe is wrong and that their head is buried in the sand and that they're being misled. People don't want to hear that. Whether or not it may be true or partially true, nobody's interested. So as this as the project kind of came to a close, mainly because of injury, when you're training at that level for that period of time, you're going to develop injuries. And I have bone spurs in both my Achilles tendons now, um, which has made running very problematic ever since. So that kind of took me out of the athletic realm in 2013. Then I started dating someone who was not raw, they were vegan. And we kind of made a hybrid of each other's diets so that we could be in a relationship without much conflict. And for me, what that looked like was a gigantic salad, 2 pounds of salad. And I would put a little brown rice on top of it. And she would do the same. So we were kind of, I was bringing in her brown rice and she was taking my salad. And it kind of evolved that way. And for a long time, I called it the salad plus diet. Okay, there are certain things, potato, whatever, but it's got to be on top of a salad. And the salad is the dominant thing on the plate. But I will
Right.
add these in, singular items. And it kind of expanded into that. And as I did that, it opened up her eyes because she no longer saw my diet as threatening. And number two, it allowed me to be in social situations where people weren't as threatened, I guess. Because when you're eating 100% raw food around people that are eating zero, they tend to want to defend themselves against you or they tend to want to gang up on you. So by adding a little bit of quote unquote cooked food to my meal, it was like I was saying, "Hey, okay, I'm in your world a little bit. I'm not fully alien."
Sure.
So that's
Sure.
kind of how the evolution
Okay,
began.
so there you are. So now you're in this diet where you're eating mostly raw, a little bit of cooked food. You're running, but you're running getting some injuries, so you're slowing down the running.
Yeah,
And I had interviewed you around that time.
yeah.
At that time, how much did you weigh and what's your body height?
So I'm 5'9", and prior to being a runner, as a raw foodist, I weighed about 130 pounds. As a runner, I my racing weight was 142 at 5'9".
You actually put weight on running so
I put
much.
weight on running because you deal with.
Normally people lose weight, right?
Well, I became more muscular because I was sedentary.
Sure, sure.
So I was a sedentary raw foodist. So I lost my body fat, but I didn't really have any muscle underneath it because I was doing
So when you
nothing.
first went raw, uh, you started running as well, but you weren't exercising as much, was it?
So I
Prior to
wasn't
that,
exercising at all.
at all.
Um,
But you were
yeah.
running. But you were running
No, I started running on the 1-year anniversary of
1 year.
being
Okay, so you were 130, then you got to 140, and
142. Yeah.
then after 2013, you started eating some cooked food. Did you stop running completely, or what happened when you got the bone spurs?
So I did stop running completely for 2013 and a lot of 2014, and became a running coach. Um, and just it was hard for me to go to the races and watch my athletes doing what they were doing without being able to participate with them. And so in late 2014, I created some novel ways to move. I experiment with movement as well. I experiment with everything, Paul. The whole world is an open game for me to play in. So I came up with these novel ways of moving, which I call the Bigfoot and the Bigfoot Light. In fact, I'm sweaty right now because I prior to this call I was out doing a Bigfoot Light with a weight pack on, which is kind of a long walk. It looks like the videos of Bigfoot in the 1960s or 70s, where he's kind of, your arms are kind of dragging the ground because your legs are a little bit bent, and it puts a lot of stress on your legs, but doesn't affect the Achilles tendons because you're walking with a flat foot. Anyway, so I brought that in just as a way to continue moving because not moving is also not good. So I needed a way to bring movement back into my life, and I discovered that these odd walking techniques gave me phenomenal running fitness, perhaps even better than running itself. So that's been an ongoing experiment since 2015, that I no longer run, but will often enter running races and be on the podium at a national level without run training, but by doing these silly, gentle walks.
Oh, okay. So how much do you weigh now? And how much do you weigh now? You're still 5'9". That's but how much
So
do you weigh now?
for a little bit longer, I'm sure I'll shrink to 5'8 3/4" before you know it here, as I approach 60. Um, I weigh myself every morning, not because I care, but just because I'm documenting a process of how I now engage with upper body strength exercises. This morning I was 171.
So that's now we're talking from 140 around 141 to 171. That's 30 pounds.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when we're getting into the why and what, but when did you go start your weight start going from 141? Was it when you stopped running, or when was it where you went up to where you are 170? Because that's a significant amount since the last time we spoke to you.
A lot of weight.
So, and so what? When did that start, and was that on purpose? And how are you doing that? Because most people eating a vegan or raw food diet seem to have trouble putting on weight. So tell us when this started. When did you say I want to put on weight, or you notice you put on weight? When did this start?
So first off, it is not intentional. It's not a goal. It's a curiosity. I actually think it's a disadvantage. It's a lot of weight to carry around all the time, and your heart has to work harder because when I am athletic, I now have to move a lot more body around. Um, so in 20, the end of 2020, uh, I was having a lot of issues with my ankles. I have what they call traumatic arthritis in both ankles because
Even on a vegan diet, mostly raw, you developed arthritis.
yeah, but it's not rheumatoid nor osteoarthritis. It's what they call traumatic arthritis. And this is the result of repeated injury.
Okay.
So,
So it
in
had nothing
addition,
to do with your diet. It's all about
nothing to do with my
okay.
diet.
It had more to do with your exercise, extreme exercise.
Yeah, so I'm a trail runner, mountain runner, snowshoer, and all of those sports, you're likely to twist an ankle or fall and hit a rock. So I've broken a lot of bones in my lower extremities. I've torn a lot of tendons and ligaments, sprained my ankles dozens, if not more than 100 times. And the result is that your body is in a state of constant inflammation in the joints that are being damaged on a regular basis. And
Okay.
athletes are not smart enough to stop, so you keep going, and the injury perpetuates.
Okay. So tell us, you developed this injury, and continue. What happened next? But this is quite
So
intriguing, everybody. 30 pounds. This is you want to hear this. Go ahead.
yeah, so this is from 2020. Um, so at the end of 2020, that happened. COVID was just coming into the picture. Things were going to lockdown. Uh, so I thought I still want to move, but I can't even really walk anymore because of the pain in my ankles. It was pretty brutal. So I had been a cross country skier in high school and 1 or 2 years in college, and I live in Vermont. So cross country skiing was one of the few sports that were available and open during COVID because you're outside and you're far away from people and up in the mountains, cleaner air. So I started cross country skiing at the beginning of 2021. So I got the ankle diagnosis at the end of 2020, started cross country skiing, discovered that I am an absolute weakling in my upper body, even though my legs are super strong, even though I've got huge heart and lungs from all the running I've done. Upper body strength was zero.
So, wait, so let me ask you this, Tim. At this point, like you said, you didn't exercise when you were younger for the most part. And then would you say you became addicted to exercising just on any level? Because it seems like you just needed that some sort of exercise. So would you say, I don't want to use the word addicted, but did you feel like
Oh, it's a common thing to be addicted to it.
more than the average person, you like I don't want to use the word obsessed, but it's like you had to get some form of exercise no matter where you were. Was that, do you say your headspace was at that time?
Well, so I was athletic younger. in high school and whatnot, but I didn't really do much because I didn't like it. It was painful. Running was a punishment. In fact, for most sports, if you do something wrong, they make you run laps. So
Sure.
running is not something that most people enjoy. I didn't enjoy it. So the Running Raw project, when that first started, it was more of a curiosity. I definitely did push myself because I wanted to prove something. I wanted to prove that the diet was really effective. So there was a lot of hard training involved. Uh, it wasn't so much obsessed with exercise as it was I wanted to make sure that I was doing enough to be able to promote the diet. Like it would
Gotcha.
actually,
I got okay.
it would put me on a podium because nobody's going to listen to me if I'm not on the podium.
Gotcha. So then you start skiing and you realize you have no upper body strength because you spent all these years focusing on running. You probably had very strong legs, great
Yeah,
stamina, but no upper body muscle. Pretty much, you
yeah,
were very weak upper body. Now, most people, it's interesting, have some upper body and very little in the legs because they don't exercise the legs. But you kind of did that one backwards. So
yeah.
you're skiing, you're doing this cross country skiing, you're realizing, hey, this takes a lot more upper body than just leg work like running does. And so let's continue the story from there.
Yeah, so I realized that I'm going to have to start doing some upper body strength training if I want skiing to be part of what I do now. It didn't hurt my ankles. That was the first test because your ankles are kind of locked in place in the boots. They're very stiff. A lot of people, when they think of cross country skiing, they'll think of what they call the classic technique or the diagonal stride, where your skis are kind of going in parallel to each other in a track. But the type of skiing I'm doing is what they call freestyle or skate skiing. So your skis are at maybe a 45-degree angle to each other, and you're pushing back and forth like an ice skater and using a lot of upper body power, both arms at the same time. And it's much more muscular than the diagonal stride where you're going in the tracks. And also an enormous amount of core strength because you're got to lock your arms in place as you bring them down. So I started doing core exercises also, which I'd never done as a runner. I started doing dips and push-ups and pull-ups. And by the way, I struggled to do a single pull-up. Like when I first started my strength training, I thought, I don't even really want to touch that bar because I'm afraid I can't even do one. And I almost didn't do one.
How old were
Uh,
you at
so
that
this,
point?
this is 2021. So I
Oh, you're talking like
was,
4 years ago.
yeah, so I was
Okay.
54. Yeah, 54.
So what are
Uh,
you now? 59?
no, I'm 57. So maybe I was 53. I was born in 68.
Okay,
Um,
so at 53, you had struggling doing one pull-up
one pull up,
and you're still on a mostly vegan,
100%.
I mean 100% vegan, mostly raw diet. Are you taking any supplements at this point?
So living in Vermont, vitamin D is something that people are concerned about simply because long, dark winters, people don't get outside a lot. So I would take vitamin D, D3 somewhat sporadically, vitamin B12 somewhat sporadically, but definitely not consistently, or as some people would say, religiously. Um, but that was it.
Okay.
Other than that, no. And so to get back into it, the
Yeah,
strength
yeah.
training I started in 2021. It was a slow, gradual process that took a long time. Um, but real quickly, because my thing is compassion, and I've already got this gigantic athletic resume, there's no reason to really push myself and hurt to prove anything. I've already done that. So I thought, how could I change into this new sport and bring compassion with me rather than feeling like a beginner who's really, really struggling? Because not only do I not have the physical strength, but cross country skiing is one of the most technically difficult sports there is. It's like being a ballerina. You're balancing on one leg and then using massive amounts of power to shift yourself to the other leg. And the skis are slippery. They want to come out from underneath you. So the balance and the coordination is still to this day. I'm out there working on it, trying to master the technique because it's so complex. So I wanted to make that entire process really gentle. So that single pull-up that I did, barely, became the thing. Okay, don't ever try to do more than one. Just we're going to do one until one is easy. And then we're going to do two, but we're never going to try to do more than two. We're going to do two until two is easy. And then I did that with every exercise, slowly, gradually built up momentum. And I did it every day. I strength train every single day, 7 days a week. But it's always very easy. And within a year of that type of strength training, I got up to about 150 pounds. So I put on 8 pounds of muscle that first year from
Has your
2021.
diet changed at all?
No, not really. No.
Okay.
It
So what type of exercise, when you say up, it's not just pull-ups. What else were you doing?
so it was a lot of pull-ups. It's something I call knees to bar, which is where you basically put yourself in a pull-up position and you bring your knees and touch them to the pull-up bar. And just you hold your upper body in that position. Dips, where you lower yourself and push yourself up. Push-ups, and that was about it, Paul. Just those simple
Push-ups,
exercises.
the knees, pull-ups, and dips.
Yep. So
Okay.
the core strength from the knees to bar, the pushing strength from the dips and push-ups, and the pulling strength from the pull-ups and the knees
Okay.
to bar.
Okay.
And
Put 20 pounds on in 1 year.
well, no, no, 8 pounds. I got up to about 150.
8 pounds. Okay. But your diet was pretty much the same.
Diet was pretty consistent. Yeah.
Okay.
Um, and the bulk of like my dinner is always a salad still, and I'm sure it always will be. The salad is always the foundation of anything I eat for dinner, and I will add things on top, but never without a
But
salad.
this is like 3 years ago or 2 years ago?
Yeah, so in the beginning of 2022, I got up to about 150,
Okay.
and slowly that training has progressed. My skiing has gotten better. I've involved myself more. I am absolutely fascinated by cross country skiing now. And that has become an experiment unto itself. And I've gone to the world championships 3 times in that, and I've got two fourth places and an eighth. So I've become one of the best older cross country skiers in the world in a pretty short period of time, simply because of curiosity and gentleness and compassion. I don't push myself. This is the new thing. So you ask about obsession. I only move when I want to. I never make myself move. I do not use willpower. Sometimes I will just move for 10 minutes and I'm good. And that empowers me to come back and work on the computer. You make videos, I make videos. Editing takes a long time. Setting things up, getting everything organized, it can be tedious mentally. So I may move for 10 minutes and then I sit down and there's a new level of energy. Blood is moving in a way that it wasn't. I did a 20-minute walk with a 20-pound weight vest prior to this interview because I knew it would give me more energy to sit here and talk. Um, so my movement is fractured throughout the day. I rarely, if ever, do really long single sessions. I'll start at 6 a.m. and I'll maybe do 10 minutes of movement, then some work, then 20 minutes of movement, some work. I'll go over and I'll do pull-ups throughout the day or dips throughout the day. This morning when I got here at 6, I did 3 pull-ups, which is very, very easy. And a little while ago, after I got in from the walk with the weight pack, I did 10 pull-ups. Again, not hard because I've been doing them for so many years now. And over the course of that gentle engagement every day, never going to failure, never making myself miserable, and spreading it out across an entire day, I'm now up to 171 pounds. But that's not the goal. The goal is not to get big, it's just happening.
So are those still the three exercises that you do? You do your pull-ups, you do your dips, and you do your what was
Knees
the
to bar,
other one? The dip bar,
knees.
knees to
Yeah.
bar, and
So
dip bar. So do you add more exercises? That's primarily
I have
what you do.
two more that I've added. Maybe 2 months ago, I started adding a deadlift, which is like a standard Olympic style lifting. Um, I wanted to do things that were like in my world. Like I have a pull-up bar and the dip machine uh, right next to me here in my studio. So they're available every time I go to the bathroom or get up, I can go do them. So I'm every time I get out of the chair, I do something. But I have a
Sure.
deadlift more behind me now. Takes up a lot of space, but I really want to make sure that my lower back as I age is healthy and strong. So I've started doing that. But again, I never lift hard or heavy. And I'll just go over and I'll do one repetition and I walk away and I'll go do some work. And an hour later, I'll do one repetition. And the other is I built a machine that simulates cross country ski poling. So I have some weights on some pulleys and some ski pole handles, and
You,
I will
so you're not
pull that.
doing that. You're not doing sets. You're just
Nope.
doing whenever you get a chance, you'll do something. And
Yep.
so
Yeah.
so you put on
I'm
40
at
pounds,
30.
30. So has your caloric changed at all? Are you eating the same amount of calories, or did you start eating more?
I think I've started eating more, definitely. And I know my protein consumption has gone up.
Now you said you
That
were eating the same way. So what you change in your diet that your protein went up and you're eating more? Are you just eating more of everything you were eating, or did you add new things?
I did add some new things. So starting in 2024, I started playing around with my diet. Again, just curious. It's an experiment. Um, it's not about right or wrong. I may get rid of some things. In fact, my diet has kind of corrected itself and gone back a little bit in 2025. But in 2024, I wanted to experiment with the diet a little bit. What would happen if I did consume more protein? What kinds of protein? So finding really high quality protein supplements to add to a smoothie, things like that. That became something that I was experimenting with in 2024
You're adding
and
protein powders to supplements.
to smoothies. And
So how much protein were you doing, and how much do you do now, would you say, a day?
so at the peak, again, based on research, so I'm not just guessing, but I'm looking at all the available research. And for an endurance athlete that moves as much as I do, requirements are between 1.2 and 1.6 grams per kilogram of body weight.
Well, let's talk pounds, not kilograms, because the
Yeah.
US people don't know how to translate that. So tell us
Yeah.
again, how much protein in grams are you doing per day now?
Oh, I would have to do a calculation
So
to
you
make
don't
that.
okay.
I don't even know what it is in pounds. I do it by kilograms.
Well,
Uh,
let's get a calculator. Let's figure this
get a
out.
calculator out.
Uh, so yeah, I got a calculator here. So how many kilograms? Because I'm
So
curious.
yeah,
Okay, let's find the calculator. Okay.
I think I weigh 76 kilograms. Is that correct?
Man, you live in the United States. Why are you doing your weight in kilograms? Would you spend time in
'Cause
Europe or something?
well, I spent a lot of time in Sweden,
There
and
you go. There you go. Okay. So, protein. How many kilograms of protein do you get, or whatever you
well,
want?
so at the high in 2024, I was trying to get 1.6 grams of protein for every kilogram of body weight.
So a kilogram is 1.6 per pound, pretty much.
2.2 pounds per kilogram of body weight. Hold on. Hey
Okay.
Google, what is 171 pounds in kilograms?
171 pounds is 77.564 kilograms.
Okay,
Okay.
77.5. So here we go. Hey Google, what is 77.5 times 1.6?
77.5 times 1.6 is 124.
124 grams of protein a day
So that's what you were doing.
last year.
Now, prior to that, what were you doing all this other time?
I was probably doing 70 to 80.
Okay, even that's high for a vegan diet or a raw vegan diet, I would think. So now you go to 120 or whatever. So 120, you said? Okay.
124.
And you put on 30 pounds, or 20 pounds since, but 30. So besides the protein powders, what else did you change to get all of that in?
Okay. So something that I tried it's been about a year now that I've been running this experiment, which was adding creatine monohydrate. So that would be now the third supplement.
So is
So a
that
little bit,
vegan?
it is vegan, yes.
Okay. Isn't
It's
most creatine on the market not vegan, or am I wrong?
there you can get vegan creatine monohydrate and you can get non-vegan creatine
Okay.
monohydrate.
Okay. So,
So it's pretty
okay.
easy to make at this point synthetically.
Okay.
Um,
So you're getting the creatine, the protein. What else have you added?
uh, the B12 and the D3. So that's it as far as supplementation is concerned.
But you had always been taking the D12 and the B3 for the most part, right?
Yeah, well, when I was eating 100% raw diet, I didn't do
Oh,
any
really?
supplements at all.
Okay.
Zero. I
Okay.
didn't do B12 as a raw vegan.
Okay. So,
And the main reason for that, now I'm not recommending that people do that, but for me, it was an experiment. I live in a farm. So when I eat lettuce or kale out of the garden or carrots out of the ground or blueberries at my blueberry orchard, I don't wash them. I'll wash the carrots. But there's bacteria and yeast in the air that are on natural fruits and vegetables that you grow yourself. We don't use any pesticides or herbicides on my farm. So I'm not going to be poisoned by eating the food. So I'm very happy to just go into the garden and start munching on kale. So I'm getting B12 from the yeast and bacteria that are living. But not everybody has access to this. And I'm not telling people to go to the supermarket and get stuff and not wash it. So when I was a raw vegan, I did not take B12.
do you get your blood work checked regularly?
Not regularly, but maybe once every 2 years.
Okay. Did you notice any difference in your blood work when you started changing these things in your diet?
So I haven't had my blood work done. It's probably been 2 years, so I should probably get a check soon. I'm curious about some things, but prior to that, all the levels were always good. There
In
wasn't
terms
anything that was
in terms of
problematic.
your health and energy, uh, did you lose any energy? Do you feel just as good? Do you feel better than ever? Or has there what's come along with putting on the weight and also adding these things to your diet that you've noticed?
So energetically, uh, I would say there really isn't a difference. Um,
Okay.
I am getting older, obviously. We're not kids anymore, Paul. So things change. It takes me longer to warm up in the morning. Um, but as far as once I'm warmed up, once I've given myself a little bit of movement, then I feel fantastic.
What about
Uh,
your sleep? Has that changed?
so sleep is something that has been problematic for most of my life, and even though going vegan definitely allowed me to sleep much better, I still have bouts where I don't sleep. Like for instance, I went to Sweden and Switzerland for the month of March, and I don't think I slept more than 10 hours that entire month.
Oh,
There
really?
were a lot of nights I did not sleep at all. So that can come back. Um, but I'm not sure what that's related to, but I can go long periods of time without sleep. I went several years, maybe getting 2 hours of sleep a night.
Really? Wow. Wow. So when you say that there's some things you're curious about in your blood work, what would that be?
Um, well, again, simply because I'm aging, I'm curious about what my testosterone levels look like. That's not something I've had checked in quite some time. But again, I'm sure you know this, but there are a lot of haters and trolls on YouTube. And the fact that I have put on so much muscle mass, now people could say, wow, out of nowhere, he's got all this muscle. It's like, no, it's been a very slow process since 2021. And for somebody that's working out, that's a very reasonable amount of muscle to put on in that much time. Steroids, you could double or triple that. So people accuse me of being on testosterone replacement therapy, which I'm not. Um, but I'm curious because I don't know what my levels of testosterone are as I age. Again, I'm uh, only 3 years or less away from 60. And there are certain tipping points biologically. And 60 or getting close to 60 is one that things change pretty quickly. Uh,
For
um,
your goal is, and always, I mean, it was to build upper body strength. You've accomplished that. You've maintained. Oh, am I muted? Oh, can you hear
no,
me?
there you go. Yeah.
Okay, sorry. From your goal has always been to maintain, or to build muscle, upper body strength, to be fit. You maintain pretty much the same diet, but you added these supplements to it to get your protein up by from 80 to 120 grams a day. Uh, Thinking about the idea of protein and high protein or protein in general. Obviously, you think this is okay for you, but you always hear the vegan like high protein is not that great for longevity. And these people that are eating the high meat-based diets are in trouble because they're getting too much protein. While of course a lot of people are deficient in getting enough protein. Uh, for you, you've come to this number 120. Do you feel comfortable with that number? Are you excited about the results? Do you want to even think about adding more, or do you think you're getting too much in, or do you feel comfortable yet now with that protein amount?
So that number was a 2024 number. And since then, I don't want to say it's corrected, but it just became difficult to consume that much protein. It's hard to do.
Sure.
Uh, you're eating all the time, and I don't like the feeling of having a lot of food in me all the time. It's just not pleasant.
Sure.
So in 2025, I'd say that number has dropped to maybe 100 to 105 grams per day.
You
So
noticed
it's
a
still
Have you noticed a difference with your strength or weight since you've dropped by 20 pounds of growing protein a day?
my weight has increased.
Really?
So yeah, in a year ago, 2024, I was 165 pounds. So I put on 6 pounds since then, and my protein has decreased. In fact, at the beginning of 2025, I was 168. And even though my protein is now lower than it was the previous year, I'm still gaining weight.
What kind of protein powder do you use?
So I don't, I go as simple as possible. Like one ingredient is ideal, whatever that protein is, whether it's hemp or right now I'm doing pumpkin seed protein. And the only ingredient is pumpkin seed. That's it.
Okay. Okay.
So there's a lot of junk proteins out there. There's a lot of fillers. There's a lot of something I've been looking into a lot because it's really really common in most vegan diets is emulsifiers. And I don't know if you've looked into the research on emulsifiers, but how they affect the gut lining. They basically destroy the mucous membrane. They're now being implicated in Crohn's disease and irritable bowel syndrome, et cetera. So it's something you know a lot about.
Yeah.
So, if I'm going to tell people, hey, adding protein to your diet could potentially be a good thing, well, let's make sure you're not adding protein that's also adding these things into your diet that you don't want.
Sure.
So,
Absolutely. Absolutely. But health-wise, no issues. You're feeling great.
yeah,
Oh,
absolutely. Another thing, Paul, that I think it's important to mention in 2013, I had some pretty serious dental issues that everybody blamed on my vegan diet. And when I say everybody, I mean the non vegan troll world. Um, Basically, I didn't take care of my teeth as a kid, and I spent a lot of my adult life depressed and didn't take care of my teeth because when you're depressed, it's hard to just engage in daily hygiene. Uh, so I had some very, very bad dental issues. I lost a lot of my teeth in 2013. So I have fake teeth now.
implants
And
or
I
crowns?
have implants. Yep.
Implants. Okay.
Yep. And since then, that was a wake up call. All right, you got to take care of your teeth. No more dental issues. So people are telling me, oh, because you're vegan, because you're this, your teeth are going to get worse and worse and worse and worse. And
Sure.
now 12 years later, yeah, I have a lot of trauma from early life, but my teeth are stable and fine, those
And
that remain.
what besides your own personal experience, experiments that you're currently doing to see how far you can take what you're doing, how are you helping people? What are you doing for a living? Are you coaching people? Are you still doing running coaching? How are you helping people?
So,
Or are you?
coach,
Or do you have a
yeah, no,
business that
definitely
you're
coaching.
coaching? Okay. Okay.
What it is for me now, Paul, it's not so much about helping people achieve a particular goal, which is what my coaching used to focus on. Now it's let's take a look at why you have that goal and is that goal actually in your best interest? So I get a lot of people that come to me that say, hey, I want to run a 100-mile race, or I want to run a 5K at this particular speed, or can you help me put on a lot of muscle? And it's like, okay, great, we'll have that conversation, but let's take a look at why you have that goal and what you think that goal is going to do for you. What do you actually get? What are the costs? What will you have to sacrifice? What will you actually gain? And when, if ever, will you benefit from this? Like, whose goal is this? Is this part of your ego that feels inadequate? And I know all about this because a lot of my early achievements were driven by a fear of inadequacy. So I don't want to encourage people or help people to live out their ego goals. So compassion is such a foundational element of my life and my coaching practice now that when I work with people, it's about how can we help you grow in whatever way you want to. I'm not going to tell you how to grow, but let's make sure that that growth is compassionate. Let's make sure that we're not just trying to get some arbitrary milestone that doesn't do anything other than fluff up your ego, because that'll just leave you wanting more. It's a never-ending cycle of suffering that a lot of people go on when they engage in athletics. So I want to make sure that people are not obsessed with some kind of athletic pursuit or even dietary pursuit. I'm sure you've seen this a lot, but people can become so obsessed over the details and they become terrified of eating the wrong thing, and they bring so much stress into their lives that they're not healthy. You know, the best diet in the world plus obsession is not health.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Absolutely.
So how can people
No.
get in touch with you if they want to inquire about your services, and also just if they have a question or anything?
TimVanOrden.com is my coaching website, and I'm going to be putting a lot of my writing up there. Most of what I do now is writing. So I've been researching and writing for, for decades now, but I'm spending probably 8 hours a day on my writing at this point because I want to get the next book out. So a lot of that writing is going to be going up on TimVanOrden.com. And Running Raw is my YouTube channel. And people ask me why I still use that name if I'm no longer a raw foodist. Well, because I still think eating raw food is a really good idea. And because to me, raw is about being vulnerable. It's about being open. It's about engaging with life in a way that isn't protected and processed and avoidant. So I kind of feel that even though I'm not a full raw foodist, being raw and embracing things naturally as they are is a really important thing still.
Sure. How many pull-ups do you say you do a day here and there? And are they full
Um,
pull-ups or are they leg raises? What are they?
so again, going back to this idea of compassion and technique, I don't want my pull-ups to ever be an ego thing. So I try to do perfect form on every pull-up. I don't want to cheat because cheating is about your ego. You say, I got that additional rep just so
Sure.
that I can think that if it's not a perfect pull-up, there's no point in doing it. And I want to quit not at failure. Most people work out to failure. I go until I can't go anymore. I want to quit at success. So if I can do 25 pull-ups, which is about what I can do now, I want to stop long before I get to 25, because when you get to 17 or 18, it's going to start to really be awful. And those last few, you're going to be miserable. I want to quit at success. So I'll stop at 15, because at 15, I did a lot of pull-ups. That's a great workout, but I feel strong at 15. I haven't started feeling weak yet. So when I hop off the pull-up bar and come back to work with a client or whatever it is I'm going to do, work in a writing project, I feel empowered because I quit at success, not failure. So I do a lot of pull-ups.
Have you heard about somebody told me recently, skin the cat. Have you heard that?
No, what a horrible name, but tell me about it.
You hang up on a pull-up bar and you put your feet over your head and you flip over, and then you flip
Okay.
back over again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that move. Skin the
Yeah.
cat. Wow.
Yeah, they call that.
So
It's I just found out the name, terrible name, but it's a good exercise. And what about
do you do
I can get one way, I can't come back.
that? Okay.
What about what do they call it? When you come up over the
Oh,
bar,
muscle up.
muscle
A
up. Have you
muscle
done
up.
any of those?
So I was working towards a muscle up. That was part of my goal because I already do a lot of dips and I already do a lot of the pulls. But I injured my shoulder in a ski accident, and I keep re-injuring it. So muscle ups are out of the question now. So I can't even really train for that transition point just
Got
because
you.
of the load that it puts on the shoulder. But
Got
when that heals up, I'm definitely going to be getting back into the muscle up
Yeah,
game.
yeah. I'm working towards it. That's my goal, so I'm working towards it.
What a fun project!
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah, great
Now,
project.
how much fitness is in your life right now? What does that
Every
look like
single
for you?
day, every single day. I mean, I've always been a gym rat or a gym mouse, but and I
Oh,
still go
same
to
here.
the gym. I think physical, uh, muscular exercise are important, especially for people on a vegan diet to keep their bones strong. But everyone to keep
Yeah,
their bones strong. So I definitely try to get some weights exercise. But I do calisthenics. I do push-ups, pull-ups, jumping rope with a weighted jump rope. Love it. I
awesome.
think it's extremely important, and I think it's missing in the raw food community. People don't do it enough. So
Yeah,
yeah. So
yeah. Bringing fitness and diet and mental health all together. Those three pillars.
yeah,
Because
exactly.
just having one or two isn't enough.
I just started
Oh,
stretching more because I never stretched enough, and now I try to stretch every day now because I know how important it is for longevity, and so I try to do that every day now. Also, it feels good to do that. So yeah,
yeah. I've watched both my parents, who they're 86, both of them now, and their flexibility is reduced to the point where it's hard to put shoes on or take
yeah,
shoes off.
yeah.
Um, and you don't want that to happen.
That's not a sign of
Uh,
old age. That's a sign of not moving because there are
it's a
old
sign.
people that stretch their whole
Yeah,
life and there's full flexibility at any age. People think it's a sign of old age, but it's just you haven't moved for a long time or never
yeah,
stretched. But when you go to the park and see people from other countries doing Tai Chi and they're doing all these stretches, and it's like, I want that when I'm that age. So I
yeah.
definitely bumped up my stretching game as well. But Tim, it's been so great to talk to you again. I appreciate you so much, man. And everybody, I'm going to put Tim's contact information, his website, and all that information below. Please contact him, and he'll help you out with your goals. And Tim, thank you so much for taking the time to join us.
Paul, it's been a pleasure. It's good to chat with you.
Always, always. All right, everybody. I'm going to put the previous videos I did with Tim as well. I'll put links in the description, so check them all out. Until then, everybody, have a great day and a great raw life.
Nature's wealth, good for your health. This is the raw life health.